Sunan unexpectedly came into contact with a game called Demon World and gained a unique talent. Just as he thought he would excel in the game, he found various signs that the game he was playing was not simple. Uncontrollable players, undead demons, and looted monsters. Various incredible things came one after another, and the real world gradually became eerie. Sensing the danger around him, Sunan decisively decided to quietly develop. When the game came to reality, he suddenly looked back and realized that he had already become the biggest demon in the player's mouth. Keywords of the novel. I quietly add points to upgrade in the demon world without pop-ups. I quietly add points to upgrade in the demon world. Download the complete TXT collection. I quietly add points to upgrade in the demon world. Read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Demon World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Demon World. Sorry, beautiful woman. The night is hazy, and the cool autumn night is the perfect time for night running. At the dimly lit corner of the intersection, two men and women running towards each other collided head-on. Sunan barely stabilized his figure, and long-term exercise made him react relatively quickly. He adjusted his body to one side at the first time, greatly reducing the impact force on both sides. Through the dim yellow glow of the street lamp, it could be seen that the person who collided with him was a woman in a black dress, in her early 20s, with a tall figure and delicate features. The woman ignored Sunan and continued to run in the direction he came from, at a fast pace, appearing a bit hasty. Running so fast, rushing to reincarnate. Sunan muttered discontentedly as he glanced at the woman's back. He didn't stop too much and continued to run forward at a constant speed. Sunan is a security guard. Unlike ordinary security guards, he works in a well-known 5-star hotel in this city. Because it is a high-end hotel, even security guards receive good treatment. In contrast, hotels have high requirements for security guards and require excellent physical fitness. Running at night every day has become a mandatory course for him. The route he runs at night is not considered remote, as it is during the peak hours of work and there are many people running at night. Sports enthusiasts can be seen everywhere along the way, so there is nothing strange about it. However, he hadn't been running for long when the two people coming towards him couldn't help but take a second look. There were two men running very fast, and strangely, both of them were wearing duckbill caps. A pair of black masks completely covered their faces. Looking at the two of them calmly, Sunan felt a bit strange. In his eyes, they didn't seem to be running around here at night. Instead, it seems like chasing someone. The reason is simple. Running requires quick breathing, no one wears a mask to run at night, and the speed is so fast. Sunan didn't think much, kept the rhythm and continued to run forward. In his opinion, even if the two were really chasing someone, it was not his business. More than 10 minutes later. Dragging his exhausted body, Sunan returned to his rented house. After a hot bath, he started washing the clothes soaked in sweat as usual. Suddenly, he noticed something and reached into the pocket of his pants to take a look. A bracelet-shaped metal ring appeared in his hand. Is this a bracelet? How could I have such a thing on me? Sunan frowned. Under the light, upon careful observation, it was soon discovered that this was not a bracelet. The metal ring is composed of two semicircles, with a delicate buckle in the middle that can be disassembled and opened. When closed together, it fits tightly and has a silver-white luster, full of metallic texture. Sunan can be certain that this thing is definitely not his own. When he finished work, he took out his own pocket, and at that time he didn't have this thing on him. I ran back all the way after work, and didn't do anything else or come into contact with anyone during that time. How did this get to me? Sunan carefully recalled and tried to filter out everything that happened after work. Suddenly, he thought of something and his brow furrowed. It's the woman who collided with me, only she has had contact with me. Sunan's face changed slightly, and he thought a lot in an instant. It is obvious that this metal ring was most likely put into his pocket by the woman who took advantage of him not paying attention when he collided with her. If that's the case, the significance behind it would be extraordinary. It is impossible for someone to put something into someone else's pocket for no reason. Even if it is a prank, there are still people trying to trick you. Sunan doesn't believe that the metal ring accidentally fell into his pocket by that woman. Continuing to observe the metal ring carefully, he found that on the inside of the metal ring, there were several small characters clearly engraved, as well as a string of letter number combinations. Demon World, RTU.5143, the Demon World. Is this a gaming bracelet? Seeing these small characters and letters, Sunan reacted. He is very familiar with this style of letter combination, and there are similar text-letter combinations in many game bracelets. Online games have gone through hundreds of years of development and have evolved from web games that could only be operated through buttons to virtual reality games that can directly achieve conscious operations through game silos. Due to the high cost of game repositories and the fact that early game repositories could only play games specified by game manufacturers, virtual reality games were not widely popularized for a long time. It wasn't until the emergence of gaming bracelets that this situation improved. The purpose of a game bracelet is twofold. Firstly, it is responsible for storing game software. If players want to experience different games, they only need to purchase the corresponding game bracelet. The second is identity verification. For players, the game bracelet is like a personal ID card, storing their personal information. Sunan has never seen a gaming bracelet before. On the contrary, he is also a seasoned gaming enthusiast. In his bedroom, there is an expensive gaming compartment. However, most of the game bracelets he has seen are made of plastic and contain precision chips inside. Like now, the entire bracelet is made of metal as one piece, but it's the first time I've seen it. According to the numbering format of the game bracelet, the text part is the name of the game. Is it a gaming bracelet? Just check it out and you'll know. When the mobile browser opens, he directly searches for the Demon World, the web page refreshes, and the next moment, a large number of results related to the Demon World appear on the screen. There really is this game. Sunan's eyes lit up and he chose a link on the top to click in. This is the game forum for Demon World. What kind of garbage game? It's been a week and I haven't even completed the opening task. I slipped away. This is not me playing games at all, it's me playing games. Every day when I log into the game, I can't even survive for 10 minutes. Without 10 years of cerebral thrombosis, it's impossible to plan this game. I just want to know who came up with this game. A post full of negative emotions came into sight, and Sunan was surprised when he casually flipped through the game forum. After watching for a moment, he finally understood what was going on with this game. The so-called Demon World is a game that has just been released for a week. The production company of this game doesn't know what to think. Since the game was launched, there has been no advertising promotion, and even players can't find the game's official website, which directly leads to very few people knowing about this game. What's even more strange is that there are no game bracelets for sale on the market for this game. The game bracelets for players on the forum are all given away by the game company through express delivery during the early game reservation. According to some player statistics, so far only a few thousand players have logged into this game, and many players have tried it a few times before directly withdrawing from the game. The reason is simple: the game difficulty is too high. In the game, players only have one life per day. Once they die, they cannot continue to log into the game on that day, and the difficulty of the game is directly increased. This also leads to many players not even completing the beginner tasks at the beginning of the game after a week has passed. The difficulty level of game tasks is divided into 4 levels, with 1 star being the simplest and 4 stars being the most difficult, with a huge difference between each star level. Advise players who have not yet completed beginner tasks to quickly improve their strength. For beginner tasks, they must choose a 1-star task and do not choose tasks with difficulty levels above 2 stars. A top strategy post that caught the attention of Sunan, posted by a player named Zhou Cheng. This player is obviously very impressive, at least at the current stage of the game, he is a top-level presence. Although there are many rewards for difficult tasks above 2 stars, they are too time-consuming and labor-intensive. Even if you barely complete them, the difficulty of subsequent main tasks will significantly increase. Instead of wasting time on beginner tasks, it's better to skip them as soon as possible and conquer daily tasks and main quests. I used this method, and now the main task has completed 2 stages. The cultivation of the Demon Classic has been elevated from beginner level to ultimate level. Zhou Cheng's strategy has attracted a large number of players' attention, and some players do not agree with his methods. In their view, high difficulty tasks mean high returns, making the game more challenging. Of course, this group of people is only a minority, and more people still agree with Zhou Cheng's method. At least Zhou Cheng's rapid rise in a short period of time has proven the feasibility of this method. But what if they agree? The beginner task is still too difficult for them. The Great God is so terrifying. According to speculation, upgrading the Demon Classic to a complete level requires 14 points of demon power. I haven't even managed to obtain 2 points of demon power yet. Undoubtedly a great god, it's old Versailles. Who wouldn't want to complete the beginner task as soon as possible, but strength doesn't allow it. Under Zhou Cheng's strategy post, a large number of players lamented. They don't know that novice tasks are too time-consuming, but the problem is that novice tasks are too difficult for them. Is this game really so difficult? I just don't know if I can log into this game. Looking at the content on the forum and then at the game bracelet in his hand, Su Nan became interested. Normally, the game bracelet is bound to the player's identity, and even if others obtain the bracelet, they cannot log in. Of course, there are exceptions. Some players play games not only for entertainment, but also to make money. These people often do not bind the bracelet with their identity, in order to sell it in the future and make a profit from it. With a try-and-see attitude, Su Nan returned to the bedroom and entered the game room wearing a bracelet. Conscious connection successful. Detected game bracelet, loading game. Game loading completed, this bracelet has been bound to the player, Fallen Leaves. You are not the bound player of this bracelet, please log in with your own bracelet. Unable to log in. Sure enough, others' gaming bracelets are still unreliable. Virtual textual information popped up in front of Su Nan, who was not surprised, just shook his head. Just as he was about to open the game compartment and exit, suddenly, the text in front of him changed, and a series of messages popped up. An unknown error has occurred, and it has been detected that the player, Fallen Leaves, has died. This bracelet is in an unknown state, and you can log in normally. The bracelet has been rebound, and now it will randomly inherit one ability from the previous player. In the process of randomly selecting abilities, talent and ability have been extracted, confirm whether to inherit or not, note. Each player can only inherit the abilities of their predecessor once, please choose carefully. A series of text jumps, and Su Nan reads it inexplicably. Former player has died. What is the situation? End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Beginner Tasks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Beginner Tasks. As a seasoned gamer, Sunan has played many games and knows that some games have extremely strict control over the use of game bracelets. Once used, it will automatically bind the player's identity, directly cutting off the possibility of players trading bracelets. But in the current situation, it is still the first time he has seen it. According to other players' descriptions on the forum, in this game, players have one life every day. Even if they die, they will be resurrected the next day, and there is no situation where the character completely dies. Is it difficult? Here, death refers to the death of players in reality. Suddenly, he thought of a possibility. The thought flashed by, and Su Nan immediately felt amused by it. Not long ago, he also saw the owner of the bracelet. It's unlikely that the owner of the gaming bracelet has already died in such a short period of time. Besides, even if the owner of the game bracelet really dies, how does the game know? After pondering for a moment, Su Nan couldn't figure out why. He decided not to think about this issue anymore, but instead continued to look at the game's prompts, and another question emerged. This game doesn't seem to start with any talent, what's going on with me? He has seen many games that offer divine equipment and divine beasts at the beginning, but when browsing game forums just now, he did not see any information about this aspect. Is this some kind of hidden setting in this game? After some thought, he didn't hesitate too much and chose to confirm inheritance directly. Talent and ability acquisition completed. Please go to the personal information bar to check. As the words danced, the scenery in front of Su Nan changed, and he arrived at a dimly lit world. At this moment, he was standing on the edge of a towering cliff. In the year 1785 of the Daisho calendar, you came to this world ruled by the 12 demon emperors. It was a world where demons danced wildly and human lives were like grass. In this world, human status was extremely low, and monsters were the masters of this world according to legend. The ancestors of humanity were the masters of this world. Unfortunately, due to a disaster, the spiritual mechanisms of heaven and earth were cut off, and the possibility of cultivation was lost, thus becoming the blood food of monsters, until thousands of years ago, someone unexpectedly discovered that through some methods, the bloodline of monsters could be integrated into themselves, thereby possessing some of the abilities of monsters, which gradually enabled humans to have the ability to live a miserable life. However, this method has a fatal drawback, as it integrates the bloodline of monsters, causing the human body to gradually change towards the appearance of monsters, becoming a non-human, non-demon existence. More seriously, as more and more demon bloodlines merge, various bloodlines cannot be well balanced and eventually lose control. Human consciousness is influenced by the ferocious aura belonging to the demon in the bloodline, becoming monsters controlled by the ferocious aura. Lines of text danced before my eyes, and the background of the game world quickly appeared. When browsing the forum just now, I had already looked at this information on the forum, and now Su Nan just glanced at it roughly. Simply put, the background of the game is a world of demons dancing wildly. To become stronger in this world, one must constantly integrate the bloodline of monsters. It's just that demon bloodlines are not easy to merge, full of various dangers, which may not only lead to changes in appearance, but also be out of control due to blood conflicts, being controlled by fierce energy. The demon world is full of danger, and here you cannot trust anyone except yourself. As an outsider, if you want to survive in this world, you must constantly integrate the bloodline of powerful monsters to gain their power in order to survive better in the demon realm. Please set your name in the demon realm. Wang Nan. He naturally wouldn't use his real name, so he just casually chose a pseudonym. Character template created successfully, characters randomly descending. The character has successfully landed, and visitors from outside the world are welcome. Please start your game and have a pleasant journey. A sudden sense of weightlessness came, as if falling from the sky, and the scenery before me changed once again. Opening his eyes, Su Nan found himself lying in a room covered in straw. In front of him was a metal door that looked unusually heavy. My head hurts so much, it feels like someone has hit the back of my head hard. The severe pain made Su Nan couldn't help but take a breath and instinctively touch the back of his head, but fortunately he didn't feel any obvious blood. Pain and weakness came from all four limbs, and Su Nan struggled to get up while supporting the wall. He was breathing heavily in the damp and moldy air, feeling as if his entire body had been emptied and extremely weak. The room was dimly lit, with only a reddish-yellow glow shining from a small opening above the metal door. Auditory, olfactory, visual, and tactile senses flooded in, giving Su Nan an illusion of being in the real world. This game seems a bit too realistic, right? Su Nan was surprised, as it was the first time he had played such a realistic game. How could you not have died? Before Su Nan could continue his research, a voice of surprise came from behind. Turning around, he finally saw that there were other people in the room. The room he was in was not large, only about 20 square meters. In the two corners inside the room, there were 4 young people in their 20s squatting. The 4 of them looked haggard and ragged, as if they had experienced a disaster. The young man on the left who had just spoken was dressed in tattered clothes. This is a cell. His current identity is the same as the other 4, all of whom are prisoners in this cell. Sunan's thoughts flashed by and he quickly made a rough assessment of his environment and identity in the game. Before Su Nan could speak, the young man who had just spoken sighed and continued, "What if you're not dead? It won't be long before you're dead." The voice of the youth was filled with despair, which gave Sunan a bad feeling. He was about to ask about the situation here when suddenly 2 heavy footsteps could be heard outside the room. Da-da-da-da, the footsteps echoed rhythmically from far to near. Upon hearing the footsteps, Su Nan had no reaction, while the other few people in the cell trembled uncontrollably as if they had heard some terrifying sound. "Here we go. They're here again. It's over, they catch 2 people each time, and now we only have 5 people left. There's a high chance they'll catch me this time. I don't want to die. Who will save me?" Several young people in the cell had pale faces and looked like they were facing a great enemy. At the same time, a series of messages appeared before Su Nan's eyes. The unknown danger is approaching, and panic is spreading rapidly. Although you don't know what happened, you realize that if you don't do something, there is a great possibility of you dying here. The beginner task has been opened, and the task panel has been opened. The personal information panel has been opened, personal space has been opened. The beginner task is here. Sunan's eyes lit up as he learned from the forum that the gameplay of this game is mainly focused on tasks. Players can enhance their game characters by completing daily and main quests. Open the task list. Without any hesitation, Sunan summoned the task list directly through consciousness. Heaven and earth have feelings. As an outsider, you are protected by heaven and earth. You can gain strength by completing beginner tasks. Please select any of the following tasks to complete and activate subsequent daily tasks and main tasks. Novice Task 1. Escape from Cell 19. Task difficulty: 2 stars. Task reward: Mortal Bloodline, Mortal Demon Scripture. Novice Task 2. Kill a prison guard. Task difficulty: 3 stars. Task reward: Mortal Bloodline, Mortal Demon Scripture, 15 points of demon power. Novice Task 3. Kill the out-of-control warrior. Task difficulty: 4 stars. Task reward: Mortal Bloodline, Mortal Demon Scripture, 30 points of demon power, and spell seed. Note: tasks are refreshed daily, and the selection and completion of novice tasks will directly affect the opening of subsequent main and daily tasks. Please choose carefully. 3 tasks, choose any one, and when Su Nan swept over, it suddenly became strange. Isn't the beginner's task mainly based on 1-star difficulty? Even if I have a 3-star difficulty task, I can still have a 4-star difficulty task. Why isn't there a 1-star difficulty task? The known difficulty levels of tasks in the demon world range from 1 star to 4 stars, with 4 levels of difficulty. It is currently unknown whether there is a higher level above the 4-star difficulty level. Most players in the forum refresh tasks at the 1-star level, while only a small percentage of players refresh tasks at the 2-star level. Even so, there are still many people who have not been able to complete beginner tasks at the 1-star level. Players who can refresh 3-star level missions may have them, but they are definitely extremely rare. As for 4-star level missions, they are completely unheard of. This is not right. My beginner task even appeared as a 4-star task, which is simply outrageous. Is it because there's an issue with where I started? Sunan suddenly thought of a possibility. This possibility is very high. If his location is not a beginner map, but an advanced map, then even the simplest task is extremely difficult for him now. At the beginning, a 4-star level task was refreshed. Should I say it's good luck or bad luck? Sunan remained silent, as this game task was extremely difficult, to the point where many players were unable to complete the task and withdrew directly from the game. Although he inherited a talent from another player at the beginning, he is not yet arrogant enough to complete tasks that other players cannot complete with just one talent. His gaze swept over 3 tasks, and he didn't make any immediate choices. Novice tasks are very important, and choosing them requires careful consideration. The rewards in the game mainly consist of 3 parts: Bloodline, Demon Scripture, and Demon Power. Blood is the foundation of cultivation, and only by possessing blood can one cultivate the Demon Classic, while the enhancement of the Demon Classic requires Demon Power. Among his 3 tasks, there are 2 rewards for the 2-star task, namely Blood and Demon Scripture, and an additional 15 points of Demonic Power for the 3-star task reward. 4-star missions offer more rewards, not only adding 30 points of demonic power compared to 2-star missions, but also adding an additional spell seed. This kind of reward can be said to be generous. This may also be a good thing: the higher the difficulty of the task, the richer the rewards. Moreover, novice tasks are related to the main storyline tasks that follow. If I could complete a 2-star level novice task, the subsequent main storyline tasks would definitely be quite challenging. Sunan quickly adjusted his mentality and comforted himself. Nowadays, most players have not even completed beginner tasks. If they can complete a 2-star or even 3-star level task, even if they enter the game later than other players, they may catch up with most players through this task. This may be his opportunity. Thinking of this, Sunan quickly called up the personal information panel. He wants to see what his inherited talents are. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Anticipating the Future. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3: Anticipating the Future. Name: Wang Nan. Race: Human race. Realm: None. Demon Classic. None. Bloodline. None. Talent: Anticipating the Future. Unique. Demonic Power. 0 points. Anticipating the Future. His gaze quickly swept over the personal information panel, and Sunan's gaze instantly froze on the talent column. There's no way, for a panel where the vast majority of data is blank, the only talent is too prominent. Anticipating the Future. Unique. The future has countless possibilities. As a lucky person blessed by fate, you can see what will happen in the next 3 minutes. Today can be used 3/3 times. Anticipating the next 3 minutes seems to be a powerful ability. What does this unique mean? Is it difficult for me to possess this innate ability? Sunan's eyes lit up. Although the specific effect of predicting the next 3 minutes is not yet known, it can be seen from a brief introduction that this ability is absolutely extraordinary. This game is extremely difficult, and many players are unable to complete beginner tasks for a long time. The key factor is that they only have 1 life per day, and once they die, they can only wait until the next day. In such a situation, if one can predict the future and anticipate the upcoming crisis in advance, it will undoubtedly greatly increase their chances of survival. Perhaps with this ability, he can really complete a 2-star or even 3-star level mission. Unfortunately, the predicted time is too short. It would be great if the time could be longer. Moreover, this ability can only be used 3 times a day. It's not enough. After a brief moment of excitement, Sunan became dissatisfied again. Even if the prediction time was short, it was enough to make up for it with frequency. One prediction after another can completely compensate for the problem of short prediction time each time. The number of times it can be used is also strictly limited, which undoubtedly greatly weakens the power of this ability. Let's first see how the effect works and find a way to escape from here before we talk. The progress of the game did not stop because he checked the tasks, and the heavy footsteps outside the prison room became closer. It was not long before he arrived at the cell where a few people were located. Without much time to think, Sunan directly used the talent of predicting the future. Immediately after, a series of words quickly appeared before his eyes. The ability to predict the future is presented in the form of textual information. The footsteps were getting closer and closer, and finally, 2 minutes later, they stopped outside the prison where you were. A huge crisis is approaching, and the other few people in the cell are even more fearful. They instinctively curl up and try to lean towards the dark corners as much as possible, in order to reduce their sense of presence. Watching the reactions of a few people, you realize that it is very unsafe in the cell. Staying here is undoubtedly a turtle in a jar. If you want to survive, you must escape from here. You have great confidence in your ability to escape, and after a brief hesitation, you plan to rush out when the prison door opens. The sturdy prison door opens, and 2 terrifying figures appear before your eyes, which are 2 terrifying monsters with wolf heads and human bodies. In that moment, you, who had already prepared to escape, suddenly rushed out. Unfortunately, your speed was too slow and you knew nothing about the power of monsters. You had no chance to step out of the prison door and was slapped back into the cell. You're dead. Before you die, you realize that the 2 monsters are too strong. With them around, you can't escape from here. Dead. This is too hasty, isn't it? No wonder no one plays. What a garbage game. Looking at the information in front of him, Sunan was speechless. In the prediction, the time from beginning to end was only 2 minutes, and he did almost nothing, ending with the death of the game character. No gaming experience. Now he finally understands why other players say this game is difficult. Just now, when I wanted to escape from here, the direction I had anticipated unfolded towards the direction of escape. If I didn't just want to escape, but rather wanted to survive, what would be the effect? Sunan's heart moved and he couldn't help but use his talent again. However, no information appeared on the panel this time, indicating that it was not successfully used in the future. Talent doesn't cool down. He saw an additional countdown on the personal information panel after the talent, predicting the future. 49, 48, 47, from using the talent just now to now, it has been about 10 seconds, and now there is still more than 40 seconds of cooldown. So it seems that the cooldown of this talent is 1 minute. 2 monsters will arrive in 2 minutes. Although I still have 2 opportunities to use the prediction today, time is running out and I can only use it again. If I can't find a way to survive the next time, I will also die. The talent of predicting the future may seem powerful, but there are also many limitations. I can only predict for 3 minutes each time, and I can only use it 3 times a day. Now there is an additional cooldown time, even if it is not too long, for this crisis like this. For every extra minute, the danger increases by 1 point. Moreover, from the first effect, once he dies in the prediction will stop, and he has no idea what will happen afterwards. There is always better than nothing, people should be content. Sunan comforted himself and waited silently. The sound of footsteps grew closer, and finally, the cooldown of the talent came to an end. Sunan didn't even think about it and immediately used the talent. The danger is approaching, and with the last experience, you know that running away is a dead end. If you want to survive, you must find other ways. You plan to take a different path and stay with the other 4 young people in the cell. Quickly scan the few people in the cell. In your opinion, staying with the 2 young people on the right feels more secure. You plan to stay with the 2 young people on the right. However, before that, you thought that you were completely powerless now, which made you feel very insecure. You were searching for useful things in the cell. Fortunately, you found a slightly rusted dagger 2 steps in front of you, and at the same time, an unknown key 1 step to the right. The appearance of the dagger finally brought you a hint of comfort. You held the dagger tightly and quickly arrived at the right corner, curling up with the other two young men. The predicted direction has changed. Sure enough, my subjective consciousness can change the direction of prediction. Su Nan's eyes flashed with joy. Being able to independently choose the direction of prediction undoubtedly greatly enhances the value of this talent. The sturdy prison door opens, and the terrifying monster of the wolf-headed human body reappears in front of you. The fierce gaze sweeps over, and the eyes of both monsters fall into the corner where you are. Unfortunately, you and another young man next to you were selected by the monster. You held the dagger tightly and wanted to resist, but your behavior angered the monster. "You're dead," he died again in anticipation. However, this time Su Nan not only did not disappoint, but his eyes lit up. "Since those two monsters would choose to hide in the right corner of me, does that mean that as long as I hide in the left corner, I can escape a disaster?" From the predicted information, it can be confirmed that the monster will only capture 2 people at a time. As long as it infiltrates among the 4 people, it can reduce the chance of being selected. Now that he knows what will happen next, he can completely avoid it in advance. Looking at the 2 people on the left side of the cell, Su Nan made a decision. Outside the prison, the sound of the monster's footsteps became increasingly clear, leaving little time for him. The cooldown time for predicting the future is still over 40 seconds, and now he has no other choice. Su Nan did not go straight to the left corner, but searched at a distance of 2 steps in front of him, intending to find the 2 items mentioned in the prediction just now. Quickly, he found the slightly rusted dagger, and at a distance of 1 step to the right, he found an unknown key. Dagger. An ordinary item. Using it to kill may be very sharp, but using it to kill monsters is undoubtedly a pipe dream. Slightly rusted key. An ordinary item, a key left by someone unknown. Upon careful observation, it can be vaguely seen that the 2 numbers 2 and 4 are engraved on the key. Without much time to look, Su Nan clenched his dagger and, suppressing his weakness, quickly arrived at the left corner, adjacent to the other 2 young men. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Blood Loss of Control. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Blood Loss of Control. 2 young people were about the same age as him, aged 25.6. One of them was ragged, with dark skin and a trembling body, with a frightened expression. On the contrary, another young man dressed in white was very strange. Su Nan discovered that the clothes on the young man in white were the best on everyone here, and there was no serious damage. At the same time, his eyes were tightly closed, his fists clenched, and his face was only ferocious, completely different from the frightened expressions of the other few. This person has a problem. Su Nan noticed the abnormality of the youth, and if it were at any other time, he would definitely explore it carefully. Perhaps he could still discover the hidden plot, but the current situation does not give him a chance. The footsteps of the monsters stopped in front of the cell door, accompanied by a series of friction sounds from the iron ropes, and the thick cell door was opened. The red and yellow flames shone from outside the prison, illuminating the dimly lit cell. 2 figures stood in front of the cell door, and the strong sense of oppression suffocated several people. As described in the prediction, the 2 monsters, wolf-headed and human, are tall and about 2 meters long, with sharp fangs exposed and a terrifying face. These are 2 wolf demons. Don't choose me. Definitely don't choose me. The dark young man beside him had a trembling voice, and Su Nan also held his breath. Even though he knew it was a game, at that moment, he was full of energy. The 2 wolf demons did not enter the cell, but stood in front of the cell door to scan and select suitable prey. As predicted, the eyes of the 2 wolf demons first turned towards the right corner of the wall. However, without waiting for Su Nan to breathe a sigh of relief, the eyes of the 2 wolf demons turned towards him again. Immediately afterwards, something unexpected happened to Su Nan. One of the wolf demons entered the cell and walked straight towards his direction. In an instant, Su Nan had an intuition that the wolf demon's target was not others, but himself. He has been targeted by the wolf demon. This is completely different from the predicted situation. Can't predict accurately. Su Nan turned pale, thinking for the first time that there was a problem with his prediction, but soon he thought of why. I understand now. In my prediction earlier, it wasn't because of bad luck that I was selected by 2 wolf demons, but because 2 wolf demons were staring at me. From beginning to end, the goal of the wolf demon was always him. As for why this happened, in the eyes of Sunan, the most likely reason is the number of people. There were a total of 5 people in the cell. Originally, there were 2 people in each of the left and right corners. Regardless of which corner he chose, it would turn one corner into 3 people, making it reasonable for him to be targeted by the wolf demon every time. Of course, it cannot be ruled out that there are other unknown reasons in southern Jiangsu, but that is no longer important. What he needs to do now is figure out how to survive and get through the difficulties in front of him. The wolf demon's heavy footsteps echoed in the prison and soon arrived at the corner where Su Nan was located. For the first time in close contact with the monsters in the game, Su Nan felt unprecedented oppression. Beside him, another young man had already been frightened and collapsed on the ground, with a face as pale as ashes. Exit the game. Faced with a terrifying wolf demon that could kill him with a single slap, Su Nan's first choice was to quit the game. This game only has 1 life per day for players, and once they die, they can no longer log in on the same day. Now it's crucial to save their lives. You are currently in a dangerous environment and cannot exit the game temporarily. Forcing to exit will have unknown consequences. Please choose a safe location to exit. Completing the task of the day will give you an unrestricted exit opportunity, unable to exit. The game prompt popped up, and Su Nan's heart sank, but it was not too surprising. If you could exit the game at any time, there wouldn't still be many people unable to complete beginner tasks until now. I can only take 1 step at a time and see what happens. I won't continue until tomorrow. He accepted his fate and prepared to be forced to withdraw after death. The ability to predict the future has another chance to be used, but what about that? Not to mention that the ability has not cooled down yet, even if we can predict it again now, the result may still be the same. The wolf demon arrived at the corner of southern Jiangsu, and its 2 dark and shiny claws simultaneously grabbed at him and the shabby young man. Don't catch me! Don't catch me! The dark young man screamed in fear, wanting to resist desperately. This angered the wolf demon, his furry arms waving, and the dark young man was slapped directly on the wall, his chest sunken, and blood gushing from his mouth. What a great power! No wonder my tasks are at the lowest difficulty level. Faced with such a presence, novice players have no chance of escaping. Sunan secretly breathed a chill, unable to imagine the consequences of such a force hitting him. The wolf demon also disregarded the life and death of the dark young man and grabbed him again towards Sunan. Sunan did not resist. The predicted result just now clearly told him that resisting will lead to death. Instead of dying here, it's better to see what the wolf demon wants to do and where it wants to catch them. Perhaps there is still hope for survival in other places. Sunan thought this way. However, at this moment, a mutation suddenly occurred. I don't know if it was the behavior of the wolf demon that stimulated the young man in white on one side, or for other reasons. The young man in white suddenly stood up, and his hoarse roar exploded from his mouth. At the next moment, the young man in white clothes exploded, his muscles wriggling and expanding rapidly, directly tearing apart his skin. His height then rose to 2.34 meters, taller than the wolf demon. What's even more terrifying is that his eyes dilated several times, but their sockets did not enlarge, causing most of them to protrude outward, giving people a feeling of being able to burst out of their sockets at any time. At the same time, the teeth of the white-clothed youth, which belonged to humans, fell off and were replaced by thick, inward curved fangs. The growth speed of the fangs was extremely fast, tearing apart his mouth in the blink of an eye. Suddenly, a terrifying change occurred, and the other 2 young people in the cell stared wide-eyed. Watching this scene in terror, the nearest Sunan felt a sense of madness. Even if it was a game, Sunan was still a bit confused at this moment, and the changes in his youth strongly impacted his senses. Human warrior. Still a bloodline out-of-control warrior. The wolf demon saw the young man's condition at a glance and didn't expect that there would be a human warrior in the cell. Very good, this kind of out-of-control human warrior princess is the favorite. After a brief surprise, the wolf demon's furry wolf face showed a hint of joy again. Bloodline out of control. Upon hearing the wolf demon's words, Sunan came to his senses and suddenly thought of something. The term, bloodline loss of control, is very sensitive, and when you first enter the game background emphasizes the issue of loss of control. Human beings can only become stronger by merging their wolf demon bloodlines, but as their bloodlines continue to merge, conflicts between different bloodlines can occur, leading to loss of control. This is one of the basic settings of this game. At the same time, he instantly thought of the task called, Kill the Uncontrollable Warrior, among the 3 tasks. That 4-star level mission. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Third prediction. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 5 Third prediction. The task panel appeared before his eyes. Novice Task 1. Escape from Cell 19. Task difficulty. 2 stars. Task reward. Mortal Bloodline, Mortal Demon Scripture. Novice Task 2. Kill a guard. Task difficulty. 3 stars. Task reward. Mortal Bloodline, Mortal Demon Scripture, 15 points of demon power. Novice Task 3. Kill the out-of-control warrior. Task difficulty. 4 stars. Task reward. Mortal Bloodline, Mortal Demon Scripture, 30 points of demon power, and spell seed. All 3 tasks have only one name and no detailed introduction, which is because novice tasks were not selected. Choose one of 3 tasks for beginners, and only after selecting the task can you see the detailed information of the task. Although I don't know the specific content of the task, I can still be certain that this 4-star level task is definitely related to the currently out-of-control young man in white. The young man in white lost control, and the wolf demon gave up on Sunan and turned to capture the young man in white. Swinging his claws, he bombarded the young man in white with a powerful force that could easily kill Sunan. Feeling danger, the young man in white, who was already controlled by the fierce aura in his bloodline, became even more furious. Not only did he not dodge, but he also slapped the wolf demon. One person, one demon, their arms clashing, as if 2 pieces of gold and stone were colliding, emitting a dull roar. The next moment, the fierce wolf demon just now was knocked upside down and flew out, fiercely hitting the wall. This guy is so strong. It's definitely related to the 4-star mission. Sunan's pupils shrank slightly. He thought the wolf demon was already powerful enough, but now it seems that he is still far behind the young man in white. Ow! The excruciating pain made the wolf demon roar in anger. He arched his body and kicked his feet hard, like a bolt of lightning, suddenly charging towards the young man in white. The young man in white also slapped the wolf demon again with a powerful and heavy hand, vowing to kill the wolf demon. In the cell, one person and one demon got entangled in a fight, and outside the cell, another wolf demon was also furious. It seems that in order to prevent others from escaping in the cell, the wolf demon never stepped into the cell and kept watch outside the cell from beginning to end. However, this situation was quickly changed. The young man in white, who was out of control in the cell, hit the wolf demon again, directly spraying blood out of the wolf demon. In just a short breath, the first wolf demon was severely injured. The wolf demon outside the prison room couldn't hold back any longer and rushed into the cell with a roar. Opportunity. This is an opportunity to escape. Seeing the second wolf demon enter, Sunan was not surprised but happy. Previously, there was a wolf demon blocking the door of the cell, and he had no chance to escape, but now it's different. He could have taken advantage of the opportunity of the two wolf demons against the young man in white and rushed out of the prison. Looking back at the task panel, his gaze fell on the first novice task. Novice Task 1. Escape from Cell 19. The 19th cell, needless to say, must be the cell where he is located. This task is only to allow him to escape from the cell, not from prison. This means that as long as he can leave this cell, he should be considered to have completed the task. As for whether one will be killed after escaping from the cell, it doesn't matter. Sunan's mind quickly changed and he made up his mind. He decided to choose this task to complete. Just in case, let's anticipate first. The predicted cooldown time for the future will have ended when the young man in white loses control, and now he can use it again. The third prediction begins. The second wolf demon rushed into the cell, forming a left and right encirclement with the first wolf demon, and attacked the young man in white, hoping to hunt him down. They didn't realize that the strength of the young man in white had greatly increased after losing control, and he was not a match for the young man in white at all. Sure enough, with just a few breaths of fighting, both monsters were severely injured at the same time, unable to carry them to the ground. Among them, the first wolf demon suffered fatal damage and was on the brink of death. Seeing this scene, you knew you had been waiting for an opportunity, and in an instant, you burst out at an unprecedented speed and rushed towards the outside of the cell. Congratulations on successfully escaping from the prison. I really escaped. Sunan was overjoyed, as escaping from the prison meant that his newbie mission could be completed. A 2-star level novice task, although not considered high, has already surpassed most players. The information on the panel is still constantly popping up, and Sunan is browsing quickly. The young man in white constantly attacked the two wolf demons, and finally, the first wolf demon died completely in a powerless struggle. You suddenly realized that at the moment of the wolf demon's death, the power in the wolf demon's body seemed to be extracted by something, and the wolf demon's body instantly dried up, causing something strange to happen. An invisible force descended, and the young man in white and the remaining wolf demon in the prison seemed to have lost their strength. Their bodies instantly collapsed and they fell to the ground, unable to move. Their bloodline power was suppressed. You realized that this is the power of this prison, to be precise, the power of this prison. This force is very strong and can easily suppress a young man in white who is out of control. Unfortunately, this force only lasts for one breath. The other guards guarding the prison finally noticed something unusual. For powerful monsters quickly entered the prison, and the leading monster discovered you at the first time. Monsters attack you. You're dead. It is predicted that from beginning to end, with only a breath of effort, the second wolf demon in the cell has just joined the battle. It's unbelievable that this prison can suppress warriors. Looking at the information on the panel, Sunan's eyes showed surprise. If he guessed correctly, the entire prison has the power to suppress bloodlines. Normally, this power is not strong, but once a monster dies here, the power from the corpse of the monster will be absorbed by the prison, thus unleashing a stronger force. A prison with such abilities is obviously not an ordinary prison. No wonder the simplest tasks for my beginners are at the 2-star level. It can be confirmed that this is not a beginner's map, but an advanced map. Staring intently at the battle in the cell, Sunan was prepared to rush out at any time. As long as he rushes out of the cell, he basically completes the beginner task. Before that, he needs to claim the novice task first. His gaze fell on the first task of escaping from the prison, and he was about to prepare to claim the task. Suddenly, he stopped and turned to look at the 4-star task on the task panel, with a bold idea in his mind. Perhaps I can try to complete this 4-star level task. Once a task is selected, it cannot be changed. The reason why he hasn't chosen any tasks so far is because he doesn't know which of these 3 tasks he will ultimately complete. He had never thought about choosing a 4-star task, but instead planned to choose the first 2-star task. After all, a 4th level task was not something he could complete. But now, he seems to see the possibility of completion. From the predicted information, it appears that in the moment when the oppressive power of the prison strikes, the power of the out-of-control white-clothed youth and the wolf demon will be completely suppressed. If he seizes the opportunity, he can completely kill the white-clothed youth. Sunan looked at the dagger in his hand and felt restless in his heart. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Task completion. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Task completion. The predicted information clearly told him that after the first wolf demon died, both the young man in white and the wolf demon would lose their power under the suppression of prison forces. If he takes action at this time, there is a high possibility of killing the young man in white. A 4-star task reward is much higher than a 2-star task reward. Moreover, the completion of novice tasks will directly affect the opening of subsequent main and daily tasks. If I complete this 4-star task, what kind of main tasks will I receive in the future? Sunan's eyes flashed brightly, and the more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was necessary to give it a try for this 4-star mission. Regardless of whether it can be completed or not, this is at least an opportunity. Put it together, that's it. Without much hesitation, Sunan gritted his teeth and quickly made up his mind. Give it a try, bike to motorcycle. He remembers that the player named Zhou Cheng on the forum before, who only opened the game for 3 days, elevated the Demon Classic to De Cheng. If I can complete the current 4-star task and catch up with Zhou Cheng, it won't be easy. Claim the task. With a movement in my heart, the task panel suddenly changed. The first and second tasks disappeared, leaving only the third 4-star level task. Kill the out-of-control warrior, difficulty 4 stars. The prison you are in is called Kuntian Prison. It is a specially crafted prison used to imprison human bloodline warriors and some powerful monsters. Whether it is monsters or warriors, their bloodline power will be suppressed here. This was originally a prison full of despair, but some warriors whose bloodline conflicts were about to spiral out of control saw it as a place of hope, where their process of losing control was greatly slowed down. Not long ago, a spirit-level warrior named Li Yuan came up with the idea of this prison to prevent him from losing control, deliberately allowing monsters to catch him. His plan was successful, and he was imprisoned in this prison. Unfortunately, he underestimated the impact of bloodline conflicts. Even with the suppression of prison power, he was gradually controlled by the ferocity of monsters in his bloodline. Once he lost control, everyone here would die, including you. Task requirement. Identify the person who is about to lose control and kill them. Task reward. Mortal bloodline, mortal demon scripture, 30 points of demon power, and spell seed. I see. Quickly scanning through the task content and recalling the fierce expression of the young man in white before, Sunan completely understood what was going on. It is obvious that the young man in white at that time had reached the brink of losing control of his bloodline conflict, and was then completely out of control due to the influence of the wolf demon. As predicted, the addition of the second wolf demon did not change much. Faced with the uncontrollable young man in white, the 2 wolf demons could only howl continuously. Sunan did not act recklessly, holding the dagger tightly in his hand and quietly waiting for the opportunity. Finally, after taking dozens of breaths, both wolf demons were heavily injured by the young man in white and smashed fiercely onto the wall on one side of the cell. Sunan held his breath and mustered 12 points of energy. The young man in white did not let go of the 2 wolf demons and kept moving. He took a step towards the 2 wolf demons and slapped them hard with his palm. This time, the first wolf demon to enter the cell could no longer resist, and its head was smashed with a palm from the young man in white. Roar! My companion died tragically, and the second wolf demon let out an angry howl. Here we go. The situation in the prediction has appeared. Sunan's body was tense, and he knew that an opportunity related to the success or failure of the mission had arrived. Success or failure lies in this one move. Almost at the moment when the wolf demon was slapped to death by the young man in white, Sunan had already rushed out like a cheetah. The body of the wolf demon fell to the ground, and a strange thing happened. In an instant, the entire body seemed to have been drained of all water, transforming into a withered corpse. At the same time, several people in the cell felt a slight tremor throughout the entire cell, followed by the uncontrollable young man in white and the remaining wolf demon falling to the ground, while Su Nan and the other two young men in the cell felt nothing. The power of prisons is aimed at individuals with bloodline power, who are ordinary people and naturally unaffected. This kind of change is inexplicably wonderful, and the other two young people looked at it with confusion, completely unaware of what was going on. Almost at the same time, Sunan had already arrived at the young man in white. The young man fell to the ground, seemingly due to the prison suppression of bloodline power. His loss of control noticeably improved, and his swollen body recovered at a visible speed. If the young man in white is allowed to recover, perhaps he can use this to get out of control and return to his previous state. Unfortunately, he didn't have a chance. Death. Sunan clenched the dagger in both hands, without any hesitation, and fiercely thrust it towards the young man's throat. He only has one breathing time at most, there can't be any waste. The palm-long dagger, with speckled rust, easily pierced the throat of the young man in white. Blood spurted out, and the young man in white made a hoarse sound in his throat. His body struggled violently, and his gaze was filled with resentment. Sunan's face remained unchanged, and the dagger tightly held in his hand not only did not relax, but also lifted up and stabbed fiercely again. This time, the dagger pierced into the young man's eye socket and fiercely penetrated his head. For such an out-of-control warrior, Su Nan cannot guarantee that his seemingly fatal blow will truly be effective. Blood gushed out from where the dagger had penetrated, and he kept moving, wanting to strike the young man again. But this time, an accident happened. The cell trembled gently again, and the force that suppressed the blood vessels disappeared. At the next moment, without waiting for the dagger in Su Nan's hand to stab him again, the young man in white had already smashed his arm fiercely against his chest. This is the young man's hateful blow, and also his final strength. With this blow, Su Nan's body flew backwards, his chest sunken, blood gushed from his mouth, and his vision quickly blurred into darkness. He's dead. Before his death, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. In the final glow, he could clearly see that after the young man's strike, his arm was powerless to droop, and his face was filled with unwillingness and resentment. The young man also died and was killed by Sunan. Congratulations, the beginner task has been completed. Daily tasks are activated, main tasks are activated. Please go to the task center to view the tasks and receive rewards. Grass. Why is this game so realistic? The game compartment opened, and Su Nan's face turned pale as he struggled to get up. At that moment, he truly experienced the taste of death. I have played many immersive virtual reality games before, but I have never experienced such a realistic game. It seems that the place he was just in is not a game at all, but a real world. This game is not simple, I'm afraid it won't be long before it becomes popular, Su Nan had a premonition. The game character has died, and he cannot log into the game again today. After checking the time, it's only 9:30 now. Even if you want to wait until early morning to log into the game, there are still 2 hours left. Simply open the game forum and see if you can get other information about the game from it. There are not many players in the forum, and naturally there are few posts, most of which are roast from players. Sunan flipped through it casually, and suddenly, a post with a large number of replies piqued his interest. Integrating into the second type of bloodline, causing a blood conflict that was about to spiral out of control, my real body unexpectedly underwent this change. Who can tell me what exactly is going on? The time of posting is 8 o'clock, just over an hour away from now, but the number of replies has reached more than 50, which is particularly prominent in the cold forum. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Information in the forum. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Information in the forum. Click on the post, a screenshot of the game and a photo come into Sunan's eyes. There is very little content in the game screenshot, only one game warning. Warning. The second bloodline you have integrated conflicts with the first bloodline. Your body is still 42 hours away from losing control. Please find a solution as soon as possible. Looking at the photo again, it shows a palm completely covered with dark fur, and at first glance, it looks like a bear's paw. Strangely, the arm behind the bear paw is actually a human arm. Bear's paw. The poster's P.picture technique is good, I almost believed it. Lost control of integrating the second type of bloodline. This game has only been around for a week and many beginners have not completed their tasks. Hey buddy, how did you manage to integrate the second type of bloodline? Master, I am willing to call you the first person to lose control. Please share your strategy with me. The players in the forum didn't pay much attention to the photo of the bear's paw, and instead, many players were surprised that someone could merge the second bloodline so quickly. However, when Sunan saw that photo, his eyes showed strangeness. He just experienced the loss of control of a young man in white in the game, and that terrifying change left a deep impression on him. At this moment, seeing this photo, for some reason, he had the illusion of seeing others lose control. This person is able to make the picture P so realistic that they have definitely seen situations where NPCs lose control in the game. Sunan took a deep look at the photo and only then did he realize that the poster's nickname was Little Flying Cannon, and the IP address happened to be in the same city as him. As far as I know, except for novice tasks that can obtain bloodlines, only mainline tasks can obtain them. Has the OP already completed the mainline? It's hopeless. The OP is planning to delete the account and play again. Even NPCs in the game cannot find a way to solve the problem of losing control. How could ordinary people find it? From the background introduction, it can be seen that once you lose control, you will become a completely irrational monster. It is obvious that in order to play this game well, you must ensure that you cannot lose control. Cheer up, landlord. Wait for the landlord to find a solution to the problem of losing control. Please observe a 3-minute silence for the landlord. Most of the replies in the post were not very nutritious, and Sunan roughly browsed through them without paying too much attention. Losing control is not the problem he is currently facing. What he is concerned about now is how the rewards for completing a beginner's task can help the player. The map he is on in the game seems to be a high-level map, and in order to escape, he must enhance his strength as soon as possible. The task rewards in the game mainly consist of 3 parts. Bloodline, Demon Scripture, and Demon Power. The Bloodline and Demon Scripture complement each other. Only by integrating into the Demon Bloodline can players cultivate the corresponding Demon Scripture. Increasing the level of the Demon Scripture can increase the power of the Bloodline, thereby enhancing players' strength in the game. The function of demonic power is simpler. Currently, the known function is to enhance the Demon Scripture, which is equivalent to the experience points in other games. Due to the lack of players, there is not much useful information in the forum. After more than 10 minutes of browsing, Sunan finally found some useful information. He now understands the gameplay of this game. The primary goal for players to survive in the game world is to enhance their strength, which relies on 3 major parts. Bloodline, Demon Scripture, and Demon Power. The difficulty of obtaining blood and demon scriptures is very high, and can only be obtained in novice and main quests. As for demonic power, there are relatively many channels to obtain it. Daily tasks are the main way to obtain demonic power. However, the daily task rewards very little demonic power, and a 1-star task only rewards a pitiful bit of demonic power. Even for a 2-star task, there is only a reward of 3 to 5 points. Moreover, for the vast majority of players, 2-star missions are too difficult to complete. It seems like I really made a lot of money by completing a 4-star mission, said Sunan with a smile in his eyes. I never know how amazing the benefits I have gained without comparison. A reward of 30 points of demonic power. Other players must complete at least 6 to 10 2-star missions in order to obtain it. In 7 days, the demon scripture will be completed. I plan to form a guild in the game, and interested brothers will add me as friends. Just as Sunan was about to withdraw from the forum, a newly published post caught his attention. The name of the poster is Zhou Cheng. Below the post is a screenshot of the game, which clearly shows that Zhou Cheng's Yaojing is a type of Yaojing called Green Wolf Classic, with the addition of the words perfect after the Yaojing. It's him. Sunan instantly knew who this was. He had seen Zhou Cheng's post before entering the game. That was a post posted 3 days ago, when Zhou Chengkai elevated the Demon Classic to the Cheng. I don't know how much demonic power is needed to upgrade the Demon Classic from a great achievement to a complete one, but it can be certain that the quantity will definitely not be small. This week's success is really not easy. The speed of obtaining demon power is so fast. Su Nan's eyes showed a strange expression. Now he knows that it is not easy for players to obtain magic power in the game, and it is very difficult for ordinary players to obtain 1 point of magic power. De Shen is also too awesome. I'm sure no one can surpass Zhou De Shen now. The great god takes me. I've added it, the god agrees. Zhou Cheng has become a celebrity in the forum, and can be said to be in full response. In the moment he posted, he had already received responses from dozens of players. Zhou Cheng's achievements did not make Su Nan envious. On the contrary, he was even more hopeful that with 30 points of demon power, he could elevate the demon scripture. To what extent? It's 10 o'clock, go to bed. After logging out of the forum and checking the time, Su Nan did not continue to wait to log in. He still has to work tomorrow and needs to rest early. Staying up late is not a good habit. Good morning, Nange. At 7:30 in the morning, Sunan arrived at the hotel where he was working on time. Seeing his arrival, far away, a tall young man greeted him head on. In his early 20s, the youth ate pancakes and fruits while drinking soybean milk. In addition, he also held a hand-grab cake and a babeo kanji in his hand. These were not prepared for others, but the youth's own breakfast. Eating double breakfast alone, this is a colleague from Sunan, Wang Zhong. Sunan glanced at the breakfast in his hand and said, if you eat like this, you will eventually gain weight. One serving is not enough to eat at all. Wang Zhong smiled and handed the leftover pancake in his hand to Su Nan. Brother Nan, would you like some? No need, I've eaten it. Su Nan waved his hand and paused before saying, it's time for roll call soon. Hurry up and finish your meal and change your clothes. If Li Fatty sees you later, you'll have to scold him. Upon hearing these words, Wang Zhong became somewhat excited and said, I'm still afraid he won't succeed. I've seen that chubby guy displeased long ago. If it weren't for you pulling him, I would have beaten him up long ago. Among the two people, Li Pengzi is the captain of the hotel security team. In fact, Li Pengzi is not fat, but rather strong. He is a famous fitness enthusiast in the hotel who has developed muscles. I know you're amazing, speak less and eat quickly. Su Nan smiled and walked towards the changing room with Wang Zhong. After changing into security uniforms, calling the roll, and handing over to the night patrol colleagues, the two of them began their work today. Their job is very simple, mainly responsible for security patrols inside the hotel, and occasionally responsible for external security due to manpower constraints. Under normal circumstances, as long as there are no unexpected situations, their work is very idle. At noon, Su Nan was eating in the employee cafeteria, and Wang Zhong sat on his side, eating while looking at his phone. Suddenly, Wang Zhong saw something and approached Su Nan with his phone, saying, Brother Nan, the river you run through every night is dead again. Did someone die again? Did he kill or commit suicide? Su Nan was surprised. The road he runs on every night was built along the river, and it's unclear whether it's due to the current high pressure on people's lives or for some reason. There are always people who can't bear it and want to jump into the river to commit suicide. The closest suicide incident was 3 months ago. It was suicide. It is said that I drowned around 8:00 to 12:00 yesterday. It was only discovered this morning when someone passed by at work. She's still a beauty, it's a pity, Wang Zhong shook his head and sighed. Beauty. Drowned last night. Su Nan was taken aback. Suddenly, he thought of something and instinctively looked at Wang Zhong's phone. That is a photo posted by someone else in Wang Zhong's social circle. In the photo, several police officers along the river set up a cordon to separate the onlookers, while 2 people in white coats were conducting a preliminary examination of a corpse. The location where the photo was taken is far from the body, and only a faint view can be made of a woman wearing a black dress. It's her. At the moment of seeing the body, Sunan recognized the woman. It was the woman who collided with him while running last night. The woman suspected of putting a gaming bracelet on him. How could it be that she really died? Sunan's heart skipped a beat, and he immediately thought of the game prompt when he logged in yesterday. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Mountain Elephant Bloodline. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Mountain Elephant Bloodline. Yesterday he attempted to log into the game using a wristband, but initially did not succeed. When he was about to give up, he strangely logged in successfully. At that time, he saw a prompt saying, "The previous player has died," and wondered why the game asked him to log in even though the character in the game could still be resurrected after death. Now it seems that the former player has died in the game prompt is likely referring to true death. Sunan's face changed, and if it was really as he thought, then this matter had already faintly exceeded the scope of scientific explanation. Wang Zhong did not notice the abnormality in Su Nan's expression and continued to look at the photo, shaking his head in regret for the woman. Sunan stared at the photo and suddenly, he made another discovery. He saw 2 men wearing duckbill caps and their faces covered by black masks standing in the crowd in the corner of the photo. It's them. Sunan's heart skipped again, and it was obvious that those 2 men were also the 2 he met yesterday. Staring intently at the 2 men in the photo, Su Nan's thoughts surged. He suddenly thought of a possibility that the woman in black did not commit suicide, but was killed by these 2 black-clad men. No wonder he associated himself with this way. Yesterday, when he met 2 men, he noticed that they seemed to be chasing something. Looking back now, it is highly likely that the 2 men were chasing a woman in black at that time. Thinking back to the hurried expression of the woman at that time, for an instant, Su Nan only felt a tingling sensation on her scalp. Silently retracting his gaze and trying to calm his mood, at this moment, Su Nan could already be certain that the woman's death was his murder. And the culprit is highly likely to be those 2 men. As for why they did this, Su Nan speculates that it is likely related to the game bracelet he obtained. What is the secret behind that bracelet? Sunan did not intend to provide clues to the police. He had decided that he could never reveal the matter of the bracelet, even if it was related to the game. As night fell, Su Nan finished his day's work and went home from work. Not afraid of 10,000, just afraid of the unexpected. This time, he did not choose to take yesterday's path, but chose another path. This road is also the route he often runs at night. Even if he changes the route and runs at night, no one will feel surprised. And most importantly, there is a large flow of people coming and going on this road. With a nervous heart, Su Nan returned home and immediately took out the game bracelet from the demon world to carefully study. Unfortunately, after studying for a while, he did not find any abnormalities. I hope everything is just my own imagination. Taking a deep breath, without further thought, he put on his wristband and entered the game compartment. Wherever you die, you will be resurrected. It's still that cell. What's different from yesterday is that today there is no one else here except for Sunan, not even the body of the young man in white yesterday. Congratulations, the beginner task has been completed. Daily tasks are activated, main tasks are activated. Please go to the task center to view the tasks and receive rewards. Upon seeing the prompt to complete the task again, Su Nan's face lit up with joy. Confirming temporary safety around, he immediately opened the task panel. Do you want to receive the task reward of killing uncontrolled warriors? Without any hesitation, just claim it. Congratulations on obtaining Mountain Elephant Bloodline, Mountain Elephant Demon Scripture, 30 points of demon power, and spell seed. Bone moving and transformation. The reward has been saved in your personal space. Please go to your personal space to check. Daily tasks have been initiated. The main quest has been initiated. All 4 types of rewards have been received, and he no longer checks daily tasks and main tasks, eager to open his personal space. The personal space is a 10 by 10 grid, which can store a total of 100 items. There are 5 items in his personal space now. The first one is a dagger, and the second one is a key, which is exactly the 2 items he obtained yesterday. Sunan did not expect that after his death, the 2 items would be automatically stored in his personal space. The remaining 3 items are a blood-red diamond-shaped stone the size of an egg, a white jade plaque the size of a palm, and a purple round crystal the size of a grape. Sunan took out the blood-red diamond-shaped stone, which was crystal clear. Inside the diamond-shaped stone, it was as if carved, with a giant elephant shadow. Mountain Elephant Blood Crystal. A type of stamina with ordinary blood. Adult mountain elephants have the power to carry mountains and can obtain mountain elephant blood after swallowing it. Physical system. It seems that the bloodline of monsters in the game should be divided into different systems. Su Nan pondered. Then, he took out the white jade plaque. Shan Xiang Jing. A mortal-level demon scripture, which is a demon scripture practiced by young mountain elephants of the Shan Xiang tribe. It can greatly enhance the power of the mountain elephant's bloodline. After using it, obtain the method of cultivating the Shan Xiang Jing. Do you want to use it? The white jade plaque is indeed the Mountain Elephant Sutra, so the last item is definitely a spell seed. Put down the jade plaque that records the Mountain Elephant Sutra, and Su Nan took out the last grape-sized purple crystal. Technique seed, bone transplantation and transformation. After use, condense a technique seed in the body that has the power of bone transplantation and transformation. Do you want to use it? Consolidate a spell seed inside the body. There is no information on this forum, and I don't know what its purpose is. There is too little introduction to spell seeds in the game, and he can't even see their true purpose. However, he knew that the rarer the more precious it was, and this magical seed was definitely not simple. Without hesitation, he picked up the blood crystal and prepared to use it first. Blood veins and crystal stones descended from Su Nan's stomach, and he suddenly felt a fiery force spreading towards his limbs. The force grew stronger and more violent. He had a feeling that if he didn't suppress this force as soon as possible, he would soon explode and die under the impact of this force. Hiss. This feeling is too real. Su Nan took a deep breath, endured the pain, and immediately took the white jade plaque that recorded the Mountain Elephant Sutra. Use. With a movement of thought, the white jade plaque exploded, and a white light shot out, instantly sinking into Su Nan's forehead. Suddenly, Su Nan's mind was filled with a lot of information about the operation of the Mountain Elephant Classic, and he didn't have time to think much. Subconsciously, he controlled the violent power in his body according to the information. Strange to say, it was like braising tofu with brine. As soon as the Mountain Elephant Sutra turned around, the feeling of wanting to burst his body disappeared. Success. A realization arose in his heart, and he immediately opened the personal information panel to check. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Magic Crisis. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Magic Crisis, Name. Wang Nan, Race. Human Race, Realm. Mortal Level, Demon Classic. Mountain Elephant Classic, Beginner, Bloodline. Mountain Elephant Bloodline, Talent. Anticipating the Future, Unique, Demonic Power. 30 points. The appearance of the personal information panel has undergone significant changes, not only in the demon scripture and bloodline columns, but also in the realm column, which has become a mortal level. This indicates that he is already a bloodline warrior, rather than an ordinary person. This game currently has 4 known realms: mortal, spiritual, mystical, and king. The higher realm is currently unknown. Each realm can merge several types of bloodlines, but the merged bloodlines must match the player's realm. For example, at the mortal level, only the mortal level bloodlines can be merged. The information obtained from the forum flashed through Su Nan's mind, and he placed his consciousness in the demon scripture column. Suddenly, a prompt popped up. Does it consume 2 points of demon power to enhance the Mountain Elephant Classic to the beginner level? Boost. The panel flashed with a flash of light, reducing the demon power by 2 points, and the Mountain Elephant Classic became an entry level. At the same time, Sunan immediately felt a hot current exploding inside him, and he clearly felt that his strength had significantly increased. This feeling. He was a bit intoxicated, and the feeling of a significant increase in power was too wonderful. Looking at the panel again, he smiled at the corner of his mouth and said, "I have never been at the beginner level and have only consumed 2 points of demonic power. I still have 28 points of demonic power. I don't know to what extent it can be improved. Does it consume 4 points of demonic power to increase the Mountain Elephant Classic to a minimum? Boost. Does it consume 8 points of demon power to enhance the Mountain Elephant Classic to its maximum? From small success to great success, the consumed demon power has doubled. Boost. Does it consume 16 points of demonic power to enhance the completion of the Mountain Elephant Classic? To achieve perfection, the required demon power has doubled. If other players come here, even if their demonic power cannot sustain further improvement, even if they complete a newbie task at the 2nd star level. But Sunan can. He just happens to have 16 o'clock demonic power. Continue to improve. At exactly 16 points, the demonic power decreased, and Sunan felt an unprecedented strength. Power. This is an elevation of pure power. He could clearly feel that his strength at this moment was probably not less than 1,000 pounds. It seems like he has really turned into a humanoid giant now. At the same time, the demon scripture was operating within his body, and his 5 senses increased greatly. In the dim prison, everything became incredibly clear for him. He clenched his fists, feeling as if he had punched the 2 wolf demons from yesterday. Illusions, these are all illusions. Forcefully calming himself down, he understood that this was an illusion brought about by rapid improvement in strength. Although his strength has skyrocketed now, he also understands that if he were to face yesterday's wolf demon now, he would definitely be beaten to death. After all, that is the existence that can persist for several rounds under the white-clothed youth. The young man in white is a spirit-level warrior, a great level higher than him now, and his strength has greatly increased after losing control. Even if he were to confront the young man in white who lost control yesterday, he would definitely only be killed with 1 palm. I never started, but improved to perfection. I spent a total of 30 points of demon power, and now I finally caught up with that Zhou Cheng. Sunan's eyes flashed with brilliance. In just 1 day, he caught up with the so-called god player Zhou Cheng. If other players knew about this, they might think he was cheating for the first time. Looking at the panel, he suddenly made another discovery and couldn't help but let out a faint sigh. Even after the completion of the Demon Classic, it can still be improved. Consciousness stopped on the Mountain Elephant Sutra, and immediately more information appeared after the Mountain Demon Sutra. Demon Classic. Shan Xiang Jing, complete, awakenable, . Consume 10 points of demon power and awaken a bloodline battle skill that belongs to you. Tip. Every awakening of blood will change your body in another world. Please choose carefully. Even after the completion of the Demon Classic, can one still awaken their Bloodline combat skills? Sunan was surprised that he had never heard of it at all. However, it's normal to think about it. Currently, only Zhou Cheng is known to have elevated the Demon Classic to perfection. Without Zhou Cheng's knowledge, no one else knows. What does it mean to change the body of another world? Will the body in reality be changed? Sunan's pupils suddenly shrank and he was surprised by his bold speculation. Unfortunately, it is estimated that no one has awakened their Bloodline combat skills yet, and he has no way to refer to them. Yaoli is not in a hurry, let's take a look at the last thing first. To calm his slightly excited mood, without much thought, he picked up the seed of the spell. If there are several rewards, which one he expects the most from is undoubtedly this spell seed. Being able to serve as a reward for a 4-star mission cannot be a regular item. Use. A purple halo bloomed, and the magic seed in his hand suddenly melted at an extremely fast speed, sinking into his flesh and blood. There was no special feeling, as if nothing had happened. Sunan was a bit strange. If it weren't for the disappearance of the purple crystal in his hand, he might have even thought he had an illusion. Is that all? He felt inexplicable. I have no choice but to look at my personal information, hoping to see some clues from it. To his surprise, there were changes on the panel of personal information. Below the talent section, there is an additional spell section. Technique. Removable bone replacement, inactive, not activated. How should this be activated? Consciousness falls on the spell bar, and another prompt pops up. Activation conditions not met, unable to activate. Not meeting the conditions. Now Sunan is completely speechless. What conditions need to be met? You said so. How do I know what conditions need to be met when you don't prompt anything? Okay, the reward for emotions can only be seen and cannot be used. Anyway, let's take a look at today's daily tasks. It is obvious that the spell seed is a high-end product, and it will not be able to activate for a while. So I no longer waste time and instead open the task list. Daily Task 1. Escape from Cell 19. Task difficulty. 2 stars. Task reward. 5 points of demonic power. Daily Task 2. Chapter 10. Mental Attack. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 10 Mental Attack Monsters. Am I being targeted by monsters? Even young and old, can this disgusting plot happen to me? After carefully reviewing the main task from beginning to end, Sunan was speechless. He finally understood now why the choice of novice tasks would affect the main quest. The beginner task is simply a prerequisite for the main task. From the introduction of the task, it can be seen that the monsters should be related to the out-of-control warrior, and it is very likely that the out-of-control warrior transformed under certain specific circumstances. This game is called Demon World, and the presence of demons is naturally normal. What made him wary was that according to the mission description, monsters were much more terrifying than monsters. Looking at the difficulty of the task again, Sunan breathed a chill. The first round of tasks is 3-star difficulty. What level will the final task reach? A 4-star will definitely not run. The difficulty of consecutive missions often ranges from low to high. Now his first mission is Samsung, and he can't imagine what difficulty the final mission will reach. It is highly likely that he will not be able to complete it in the end. What are the consequences if the main task cannot be completed? Sunan's face was solemn, and for some reason, he felt like he had lost control of the game. If encountering a high-difficulty task in other games, not only will it not be disliked by the player, but it will also make the player excited. In their view, constantly trying to break limits is a pleasure, and they enjoy the fun of exploring games. But now this game is different. The fatal aspect of this game is that each player has only one life per day, and once they die, they cannot log in on the same day. In this way, a difficult task may take more time than expected, which can seriously drag down the game process and widen the gap for other players, which is something that no one wants to see. We must find ways to maximize the benefits from the upcoming tasks and improve our own strength as soon as possible, otherwise we will not be able to complete this task. Sunan knows the seriousness of the situation and dare not be careless about the next daily tasks. Daily tasks are the key to obtaining demon power, and he must ensure to complete them every day. There are 3 daily tasks, and the second task of killing a guard doesn't need to be thought of. The guards in this prison are likely all spirit level, not something I can deal with now. The third task is for me to hunt and kill a mortal level monster. Whether this task can be completed or not depends on leaving the cell first. At least let me find a monster first. It seems that the first mission to escape from cell 19 is imminent. Sunan quickly analyzed 3 tasks, and it was obvious that escaping from this cell was a necessary task at the moment. The door of the prison cell can only be opened from the outside. The only way I want to escape is to create some movement, attract the guards in the prison to come over, and use the opportunity for the guards to come in and check to escape. He is no longer the same as yesterday. If he were to face yesterday's wolf demon again, although he is not a match, he would not be slapped to death. As long as you can leave the cell, even if the task is completed, death is nothing. First, let's anticipate and see if the plan is feasible. He didn't act recklessly, but instead used his talent to predict the future. The cell door is locked, and you realize that to leave here, you can only use guards. You hit the metal prison door with a heavy punch, making a dull roar. Unfortunately, the commotion you made was too small to catch the attention of the prison guards. Unfortunately, you are preparing to bombard the prison door for the second time. What you didn't know was that your behavior woke up a monster that had just been imprisoned in the cell, and you were being targeted. Just as you were bombarding the iron gate for the second time, the monster suddenly launched a surprise attack on you. You're dead. What? There's not only me in this cell, but also a monster. Sunan's expression froze. He thought he would die at the hands of the prison guards, but he didn't expect to be ambushed by an unknown monster and die, which he didn't expect. The cell was not large, so theoretically, he could see at a glance whether there were any monsters or not. Despite scanning his eyes several times, he did not see any presence of any monsters. If it weren't for the clear information given to him, the monster would have been locked in not long ago, and he would have doubted his own eyes. Suddenly, he thought of something. No, there's another place I've overlooked. He suddenly lifted his head and looked towards the top of the cell. The light was dim, and at first glance, the top of the cell was pitch black with nothing else. Sunan's heart moved, and the mountain elephant quickly moved. His vision also quickly became clear. Now he finally saw a huge monster crawling on the top of the cell. That monster has a human head, but it is dressed in a bat. Alright, I'm worried about how to complete the task. It's better now, the monster that came to my door. Sunan not only did not panic, but also smiled at the corners of his mouth. The difficulty of hunting mortal-level monsters is only 2 stars, which indicates that the current bat demon is not particularly powerful, at least not at the same level as yesterday's wolf demon. So, as long as it is well planned, it is not impossible to hunt down the bat demon. The bat demon seemed to have fallen into a deep sleep and was not awakened. Sunan clenched his fist, feeling the power inside his body, and a cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He changed his mind and didn't plan to continue his escape plan from the prison. Instead, he planned to complete the 3rd mission and hunt down the current monster. However, before that, he decided to predict again. The 1-minute cooldown time has ended, and it is predicted to start again. You find a demon sleeping on top of your head, and you plan to hunt him down. Arriving at the door of the cell, according to the plan, you punched the metal prison door, and the monster was immediately awakened by the roar. You know you're being targeted by monsters, but you pretend not to know and then punch at the metal door again. As expected, when you punched for the second time, the monster suddenly attacked you. As you were already prepared, you reacted quickly and turned around, concentrating all your strength to bombard the monster. The monster was startled by your sudden counterattack, and in panic, it was hit hard by your fist and flew away. With a successful strike, your confidence greatly increases. When facing the monster, it is a fierce attack. You have blinded the monster and can only passively defend it. You, who possess the bloodline of a mountain elephant, have astonishing strength with the blessing of the perfect mountain elephant sutra. It is not something that monsters can resist. With just a few breaths, monsters are beaten to death by you. Seeing this, you breathed a slight sigh of relief, but just as you relaxed, the monster had a chance to catch a breath and let out a piercing cry. Your spirit was attacked, and you stumbled and almost fell to the ground. When you managed to stabilize your figure, the demon's claws had already grabbed your throat. You're dead. How could this bat demon attack spiritually? Sunan was a little lucky, but he didn't expect the bat demon to have such abilities. Fortunately, I foresaw once that if I were to act arrogantly, this time I would really capsize. Since we know the methods of the monsters, then things will be easier to handle. End of this chapter.